What up, everybody? Welcome back into a patch notes breakdown. I know it's been a while, but the patches have been a little bit inconsistent. They've been here and there, a little bit everywhere, but we're in the Smite 2 Closed Alpha 6 update. And in this update, we're getting some new gods, but we're also getting some changes to UI. Auto build is seeing some new settings in the usability options. Console item store is being revamped, but that's right, Khepri Bezos has made it into the game. Make sure to check him out. Item store, a bold icon is now on all active items. Your gods are on this cross grid as of right now. Here's good old Khepri. Look at him in his majesty. That's not even a word. I made it up, but I love it. We love it. Okay. There are some changes to ranked. Trio Q is backed. And with that being said, the party matchup protections are either all 1v1s, 2-1-1-1-V-1-1-1-1-1, and then you have 2-1-1-1-1-V-2-1-1-1, and they kind of split up trying to keep the teams balanced overall. Solo Q SR protections. Solo players who lose a match after being placed in a match where the enemy team has a party will experience a slight reduction in SR loss. So you're not getting punished as heavily there, which is really, really good. And then we have a soft reset coming as well for Trio Qs, where Masters Plus are going to go to Obsidian 2. Obsidian 2 is going to go to, Diamond 1 and Obsidian 1 are going to go to Diamond 2, Clay to Diamond 3, no reset. 5-stack ranked queues have been disabled for the time being. In ranked draft lobby, they added which team and player is banning and picking in the upper left corner, which is going to be overall pretty good for the game. Now, looking at some changes here to Gold Fury, increase the base movement speed to 450, anti-body blocking's now there, and Warhorn's getting a couple fixes as well. Our first new god to the game. You might be like, who are we getting? Who is over there that we're getting? We are getting Izanami. And Izanami is going to be feeling pretty good. All right, she's getting some changes. She's a physical damage dealer, still that hunter type role. Her new feature is thanks to heavy focus on hybrid scaling. Players can now choose their build path to determine whether they want hard-hitting basic attacks and abilities via strength scaling or very strong bleed effects from the intelligent scaling option, or a combination of both. You can do either or. And then as basic attack goes, you throw your piercing projectile, it goes through, it comes back, it's like a boomerang type of effect. Your 2, Death Draws Nigh, has a new feature where each stack fades 10 seconds after the damage was taken. So this ability still gives you the physical penetration and intelligence for 1% of your max health taken as damage. Sickle Storm, specifically increase your attack speed for 6 seconds. Your basic attacks no longer pierce. Now, there is a new feature added to this that applies a stacking bleed effect to enemies hit, scaling primarily off of intelligence. Spectral Projection, send forth a projection of yourself, dealing damage, slowing all enemies in a line. That's not new. Fade Away, your dash, your 3, descend into the underworld becoming stealth, and leap away from your current position. The new feature is you gain movement speed while stealthed, so that's going to feel pretty good as an escape. Dark Portal, summon a Dark Portal, which deals instant physical damage and silences all enemies. The new feature here, the +1, is going to be damaged enemies are also dealt physical damage over time and are hit with a strong slow, which fades over time. So Izanami getting several +1s here. I think she's going to feel really good. I haven't had a chance to play her yet, but I plan on running an arena after this game to try out at least one of the new gods in this patch. Next god, Khepri, the man himself, the myth, the legend. If you never listened to Khepri Bezos, maybe we add that into the end of this video. Khepri is going to be the same old, fortitude. He's dealing magical damage, has intellect scaling, melee basic attacks. His fortitude ability passive, every few seconds, you gain a shield for himself and allies. Abduct, you dash forward and you grab your enemy. The +1s here, that's right, +1s. Khepri can now aim his ultimate while grabbing a god in his abduct. And the turn radius is higher, so you can position your enemy more carefully around corners, which is really, really nice. Rising Dawn, you fire a projectile that applies damage over time, debuffs enemy physical protection, and reduces damage allies take. That's right, reduces damage allies takes. I'm mentioning that twice because that was something overlooked in Smite 1 by Khepri players a lot of the time. Reduces damage allies take. Rising Dawn, the new features there are going to be, this ability now has a large delayed detonate area at max range and applies the same effects to enemies and allies. And this can now buff Khepri himself with mitigation, but only if you run into delayed explosion area. Solar Flare after a short delay, damage and root your enemies. Nothing new there. Scarab's Blessing is a cleanse, movement speed, slow immunity based off strength and intellect. If they die while this is buffs on them, guess what? They revive. And the +1s here are the buff effect now applies strength and intellect to the target. And Khepri now gains a small 2 of each prop buff each time he successfully revives an ally. This has no duration or stat cap. So much like Sobek gets the 25 health whenever he gets an execute, Khepri's going to get a little bit of protections. Our last new god in this patch, but we're getting a 3. We're getting Nemesis. Dealing physical damage, hybrid scaling, melee basic attacks. Scales of Fate, nothing new here. Hitting enemies with basic attacks reduces the target's in-hand power, strength, and intellect while increasing yours. Swift Vengeance, dash in a line up to 2 times, passing through all enemies and damaging them. Slice and Dice, slash in a cone, dealing damage in all enemies hit. Enemies in the center take more damage. The +1 here is the center cone now has increased width near melee range to help improve melee hit feels. Retribution, your shield. You gain a shield for a short period of time. Heal and reflect for damage taken. The +1s here, the shield scales with max health, the heal scales with intelligence, and the reflex scales with strength. So you can kind of build how you want to here, a little bit of options for you. And another new feature is the heal and reflect are calculated using pre-mitigation damage. New feature, heal from all targets that damage you, not just gods. So a lot of +1s here to Nemesis. Divine Retribution. Choose a single enemy, dealing damage to them and all enemies around them. You gain movement speed and a percentage of the enemy's protections. Reduce enemies' movement speed and protections by the same amount. The +1s here is this ability hits in the area around the original target, but you steal from the enemy who has the highest protections. All enemies are still debuffed and slowed. The other +1, this ability now has scaling damage in addition to the current health damage, meaning that if you are building strength or intellect, you will be able to kill an enemy with this ability. Some god balance on her, seeing some buffs. He needed them. Enfeeble, they updated the description. Desert Fury, seeing increased damage and increased final damage. Hopefully he feels better. I still think on her is kind of in a weird spot right now. Baron Samedi nerf, he needed to be nerfed. This god's been highly prioritized in comp play. Life of the party, decreased the vortex strength by 10%, decreased hysteria vortex strength by 20%, decreased healing scaling from 5% protections to 2.5. Chalk, seeing some buffs here. Thunderstrike, decreased cooldown. Rain Dance, increased heal per tick, decreased cooldown. Dons and Burrow, the lovely Tanuki himself, getting some buffs. Don't even know if he needed them, but he's getting them. Fool's Gold, increased the damage scaling, now 90 and 65% for strength and intellect. Tanuki, Trickery, decreased the cooldown. Uproarious Rocket, adjust the damage scaling for 85% strength, 85% intellect to 100% strength, 70% intellect, and adjusted the explosion damage in the same sort of way, but it's going to be more based off intellect, so kind of vice versa of the Tanuki Trickery. Hercules buff, he didn't need it. He didn't need it. We didn't need this god in Smite 2 yet. He didn't need a buff. Driving Strike decreased the cooldown. Earthbreaker decreased the cooldown as well. Nuwa buffed, didn't need it. Strength of Wood decreased cooldown. Shiny Metal increased damage scaling and decreased the cooldown. Raw buff, Celestial Beam, adjusted this ability's range to better match the visual. Searing Pain increased the damage. Sobek nerf, Charge Prey increased that cooldown. Soul buff, Stellar Burst increased the slow, and Supernova decreased the cooldown. Soul players rejoice. I think it's a good buff. Thanatos buff, Harvesters of Souls increased the God kill heal to 20%. Scent of Death increased the flat pin. Soul Reap decreased the cooldown. Yamoja, Moonstrike increased damage, and Mindy Waters adjust shield health, scaling with 5% or 15% intellect, 5% max health. Go try Sunbeam Bow Yamoja with a Shogun's War Flag. Pick some other items to go along with that. It's a fun time. Zeus nerf, Detonate Charge, damage decreased on this. Here's the deal. If you haven't played Zeus, Zeus is really, really strong right now, and it's not because of his Detonate. It is because of his one. Like, Chain Lightning just does a lot of damage, especially early on. Obviously, Detonate's good. I don't think this was the right nerf for Zeus, but that's okay. There's been some item balance. They added some new Tier 1s and Tier 2s, which are going to build in some items respectively, just kind of help balance that out. For instance, like Soul Reaver, Gem of Focus, Tekokage, and Jotuns, I think, are all building out the adjusted recipe. Bloodforge is getting 15% attack speed added onto it, which is huge. Bloodforge is probably going to be the new lifesteal item. I've been using Serrated Blade for about the past month and a half, I really was about that. Apparently, it's been seen in the Founders series, so watch out for that. Devourer's Gauntlet is getting a little bit cheaper. Sunbeam Bow removed the mana, they increased the strength, they added 25 intellect, they increased the mana regen and active damage scaling 25%. Still think this feels weird to get into a build because of how much mana it uses, but Sunbeam Bow is definitely fun to use. Try it on Thanatos and on Yamoja. Kinsblade getting decreased cost along with Dagger of Frenzy, Demon Blade, Death Metal, all decreased cost. Increased strength on Musashi's, Hydra's, Transcendence. Heartseeker is getting increased passive strength along with the Crusher, Avatar's Parashu. And then Pendulum Blade is getting decreased cost. Increased strength on Titan's Bane. Decreased stack cooldown on Prophetic Cloak. Increased active cooldown on Pharaoh's Curse. That probably needed to happen. That item was really good. A 20-second increase cooldown is pretty significant. Life Binder buff decreased after cooldown to 30 seconds. And then we're going to see all the Bumbas. Here's a really cool change for junglers. Bumbas is now going to give you either strength or intellect based off of what you're building into. So if you have higher strength, Bumbas gives you strength. If you have higher intellect, it gives you intellect instead. I think these are fantastic changes. It opens up a lot of viability to magical junglers that are people that want to build intellect, and it opens up the viability that was already there for strength. Really, really cool change here for Smite 2. There's some general bug fixes to check out as well if you want to check those out, but that will be it for this patch notes breakdown. As always, I hope to see you out there on the Battleground. It's been Blaze McBain. Come over, hang out on Twitch sometime. Check out the other YouTube and TikTok videos. We'll catch y'all later, and hopefully see you soon. Bye!